Hey there, Wendy here with Jazzydoodledesigns, and today I wanted to try out these Guangna acrylic markers. So these are non-toxic. This is a brush tip. It's water-based. This is the 168 set. So it comes in this box. And then I thought it was interesting. So on the side of the box, we have a swatch sheet, right? So here it is. And there's this little flap here. And if you turn the box this way now, and let's look at this side, this actually has all of the colors in color family order. So remember that, in color family order with a number, right? It says place pens parallel when not in use. Printing color difference, please use homemade color cards. So now, if you place it on its side and you lift the lid, look what we have. Now, I found it very interesting that they literally have them in color family order, but then they don't. So I'm not sure what that's about. It comes with 5 replacement nibs for 168 markers. I guess in my mind, first initial thought is, really, 5? But, you know, I guess that being said, I haven't really had problems with acrylic markers and their tips. You know, they will stain a little bit, but I haven't really had problems with them clogging or going bad, so maybe that's, you know, a non-issue. I do like that the number is here on the lid, so let's take a first look. Let's put the lid down so we can see. I'll zoom. Okay, so these are the ones I see. I see a lot of these with this black, right? And you can get them from Temu or AliExpress, Shine, wherever wherever you prefer to shop, China. It says automatic ink, big volume, water-based ink, GN8101. Okay. Shake the pen before use to even out the ink. Avoid affecting the use effect. Avoid affecting the use effect. I have no idea what that means. But these are a lot like the Arctics and the Woomer that I've shown you in the past with this, what they call direct liquid. This calls big volume automatic ink, but it has a nice brush tip. I chose these. There's a lot of different ones to choose from. There are smaller sets, of course, and then there are 2-sided ones where you can get a bullet tip and a brush. I wanted to specifically try this particular brand because I've heard good things about it. I've heard that they're matte, and in my experience of using acrylic paint and trying to color over it with colored pencil, you know, like the craft paints, if you use some of the more expensive ones, like a name brand like Golden or something, a lot of times those they tend to be a little more plasticky, whereas there's other acrylics like the cheap craft paints. Let me grab one here like this folk art that you can get at the Walmart or Hobby Lobby or whatever for like $1 or $2. These have a matte finish. It says here matte finish. I find that as long as I use the matte finish, my colored pencils go over it very, very well, especially since I water it down a little bit. Now, I did do one video on the channel where I show this. I plan on doing this again. I've also used craft paint on the very first color along I did in a Kirby book. I painted the entire background black using black acrylic paint. So I'm not unknown to using acrylic paint, but I am exploring and learning about the various differences in acrylic markers. And this set, I think, was about $65, $70 for 168, which I thought was a pretty good price. I know if you're patient, you can get on those sites like AliExpress and Temu and all of that, and you can buy them for a lot cheaper, especially as a new account. Should I show you the pretty instead of the white box? You know, so keep that in mind as we go along. So I am going to start playing around, swatching these out, maybe on the box. Also, as always, I will create my own swatch chart for these, maybe even with the help of this, because if they turn out as lovely as this, I will be very pleased. There is a ton of greens. Look, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of just green. Then we get into a little bit of blue greens, and then a little bit of blues, purples, reds, pink, orange, yellow, peaches, browns, and then I am super excited to see these colors. These are some of my favorite colors. I absolutely love like this camel and this, it's called grounded red, but to me it looks like a darker camel color. I find those very, very helpful. I am really drawn to more yellow browns than I am the red browns. I tend to like even gray browns better, but my all-time favorite is the actual, what I call yellow browns. So anyway, I'm gonna go play, I'm gonna swatch, and then we'll be back to chat. So we'll see you in a bit. Okay, I'm back. I put these in a rough color family order. I say rough because when I was looking at this, I may change this one and drop it down here. So I don't know if that was just an inadvertent error on my part or what. And this color I feel like might be better served up here. It is not a perfect match. Meaning I don't love this color with these perfectly. I think it could go even with these. It's just one of those colors that's just a little off both sets. But where I have it here, almost as a standalone, I think I'm going to put it up here. So I'm going to make those two changes before I put this on the Ko-fi shop. Otherwise, I think I can live with this chart. Now, these charts take me a really long time, but I find a lot of value in them. What else did I want to say? I think that this is a really nice set of colors. I really like that we have some darker values here, right? Because you don't always get that. A lot of these sets are designed for colorists that like vibrant colors, which of course we do, right? These kind of mid-tone colors, we love them so much. But I really enjoy a palette that has both light, right? These lighter colors, but also has these deeper ones as well. And I think they did a great job with that. Now, when you look at this chart, I'm going to tilt it in the light. Can you see? It is not shiny. These feel and look very matte to me. Okay, this is a piece of Nina. Let's take our lighter tone here. And I picked a darker. We're going to let those dry. I am going to see if I can fix our lighting. Okay, so here we have a Prismacolor, and here we have a Polychromos. So let's try going over that. Now that goes over that very well. We could totally blend on that. And here's our Polychromos. Now there is a difference in texture, and I definitely feel like the Polychromos is a smoother texture. Do you see that? So let's do the same thing on the darker with the white. Now this is Prismacolor, and I feel like that's really smooth, and it went over it very well. Here's the Polychromos. Did not go over it as well at all. Now, to be fair, Polychromos isn't renowned for their white. Let me try a couple other ones. This is the Derwent Drawing white. Looks beautiful. And let's give Luminance a quick it's not a perfect sharpen, but definitely I think colored pencil goes over these acrylic markers extremely well. So let's give it a go. Okay, so I decided on a page. It's Petit Poupées by Hatchet Heroes, and I'm going to be doing this page here. And what I thought I would do is just kind of base and do a little bit of shading just to see what I can do with the pens. I'm going to experiment with a water brush a little bit, especially on bigger areas, and then I will also probably do some shading with colored pencil as well. So wish me luck. Okay, gang, so I finally figured something out, because I was like, this is so weird that the swatch chart is here, right? But watch what happens. I'm going to slide this back. Apologies for the shadow there. But if you pull this, you don't want to pull too much, because we don't want all of our markers to come completely out of the box. But look what we have here. All of our markers are now stair-stepped, right? And it makes total sense that we have a swatch chart up here to see what these colors look like. Okay, my mind is blown. I literally am now going to insert this back in the video that I already rendered. It was already ready to be uploaded when I figured this out, but I thought I would show you this because I thought it was such an odd, way of setting these up, but it makes total sense now. And look, they're each in a row. Now, the one thing I will say is you have to be careful, because if you pull them out too far, right, then this drops down and we have spillage here on the sides, right? So we want to make sure that we keep our markers this bottom layer that we keep the bottom layer. All right, now we're totally on the struggle bus. We want those in, right? See, and our marker got a little wonky there. So don't pull, the moral of the story is you can pull this too far, have it not work well. But if you don't pull too far, you have a nice little system, which with your swatch chart up here at the top. So, my life has a blooper reel. So maybe other people wouldn't struggle as much. I don't know. But I got them all back in. But they do kind of pull out. So I wanted to show you that. Alright guys, so let's just see how these markers work, shall we? So first I'm going to apply them directly with with the marker itself. Now, this is a great way to do it if you want the opacity. So if you want it to cover lines, for example, it's better to put it on directly to paper. You saw me put a piece of paper behind that. It's a very good habit to get into. I have a bad habit of not doing it. These markers will not go through the paper. You won't have any problem with that. But oftentimes when I'm working on the edge, like I am right here, you see how my marks went off the paper. If you don't have that, your marker will drop off the edge, so to speak, and not only will you mark your paper, but then it kind of stops your flow. Now, I am just basically here trying to get a feel for how these markers work. I really enjoyed working with these markers. Now here I'm using a water brush and I just scribble a little bit on, these are like a stamp positioner. It's just an acrylic block is all it is. But you could use anything. You could use a palette. You could use, like Karen Dosh has that one little palette. I could have used that. I happen to have this. And what you see here now is I am actually mixing those two browns together because you can combine your colors on a palette like that and get more of a custom color. Now, in retrospect, I would probably do this girl's face just in colored pencil if I were to do it again. I wanted her hair to be very light blonde, which is why I applied it with the brush. Underneath this white see-through shawl or whatever that is, I wanted to use a lighter pink. And then that way when you go over it with the white, it makes the white look sheer. Now on these leaves, I have basically just added 3 different colors of green to do my blending. Now you can put your last one on and use a water brush and that will help blend it. And then do you see how if I take my white and I go around the edge of that shawl to really emphasize the fact that it's white, it starts to look more sheer. So that's what I'm doing here. Or that's what I did a second ago, right? I really enjoyed working with these markers. I felt like there was a lot of variety of color to choose from. I felt like they worked really well. And look how well the colored pencil is going over these. So I'm just doing a little bit of shading on the back side of this green. I apologize for the lighting. I'm trying a new light because the lighting I had before sits on stands and it really crowds a lot of my room. And so I'm liking the overhead light, but I hate the shadows that I'm getting where you can kind of see the shadows of my hair and it leaves shadows by my hands and things like that. And I hate it so much. So I know I'll be changing back. So please be patient with me. We'll get the lighting better again soon. I was just really hoping to find a little bit of a different solution. Now here I'm using the darker pencil to indicate the water directionality, right? And I want to leave a little bit more light in the center of this. But you can see that the colored pencil really adds some shading to the acrylic marker to where, like on this bunny and stuff, I just put a little bit of shading on it. I didn't go over the entire bunny itself. And in other places like her face, I did go over it entirely in colored pencil. And I went over a lot of the water in colored pencil, in colored pencil. However, because I have that base layer of acrylic, I don't have any of the white showing through my colored pencil. So even where I have the colored pencil strokes, there's another color behind it. So I find it very helpful. Now, I think you could have left this, I think we could have done a lot of the detail with the acrylic marker and touched it up, but I do feel like the colored pencil just adds that next layer, right? That little something something that makes the page feel complete. I'm able to do shadowing, and I'm able to go back in with the markers and add these little flicks of color to indicate a little bit more grass on the greenery, right? So I'm using those two in combination. And then, of course, we got to have a little bit of white to make it all pop, right? So that's all I'm doing at this point, is adding those little tiny details. I would recommend this colored pencils, or this the acrylic marker set. I will put a link in the description box below for Amazon to where you could find the ones that I'm looking for. And then you may or may not want to order them on someplace like Temu, where you could pay a little less. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you for watching another video from Jazzydoodledesigns. If you'd like even more Jazzy Doodle and a little more snark, please check out the membership below. If you're looking for a community where you can share your work and chat with other fellow colorists in a safe and welcoming environment, hit the subscribe button to Jazzydoodledesigns and then look for Jazzydoodledesigns Coloring Community on Facebook. And there you can join a group of fellow colorists to talk all things coloring and share cute pet pictures. I hope to see you there. And until next time, happy coloring.